today we really want to talk about HP's leadership in the private cloud business and highlight from an HP perspective, and that's why we have our guest speaker today with Mike Zuber, to have a chance to highlight from his perspective with HP on why the HP solution is the choice for private cloud. As well as we'll have a chance to kind of overview Industry Analyst Forrester and their ranking of HP's cloud and automation solutions as the preferred top choice for private cloud. So we thank everyone for joining today. And in terms of introductions, I'll first introduce myself. John Furner here with ResultsPositive, founded the company over 9 years ago and focusing on really driving value for our customers as well as our business partners. And our focus on a day-to-day basis, how do we help our customers make a difference by achieving their organizational goals as well as their personal goals and outcomes. And today I'll be leading an overview of HP's cloud and automation solutions. And next we have Mike Zuber. Mike, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks, John. Again, Mike Zuber, 16-year vet of Hewlett-Packard. I bring that up not because it's a particularly long time, but because I've been a part of the software team for that long and a part of the acquisition organization that helped really secure the technology that serves as the backbone for what is now HP Cloud Automation Solution. Also lucky enough to have a 9-year relationship with John Furner. Actually, I think we go back actually 12 or 13 years. So if anybody wants some dirt on John, just let me know. We can talk later. But with that, we'll go ahead and get into the topic of the day with cloud.
Thanks so much, Mike, and I really do appreciate you joining us today. And please speak kindly of me as that to respond out to you. But in terms of the agenda, first of all, we want to talk about cloud usage, what's going on in the marketplace, what are the different types of options for cloud. Then we want to provide an overview of HP's cloud automation solutions. HP has a really robust end-to-end set of solutions all the way from infrastructure, networking, also all the way through the whole software suite that you need for cloud automation. Next, we'll highlight HP solutions and some of the customer benefits, because there's a lot of significant tangible benefits. One thing that we're excited about here with HP's products, especially in the cloud space, it's really tangible direct benefits back to the customer that you can tie directly to the implementation, the process redesign, and the implementation of the technology. And then last, we'll talk about some implementation paths and how customers can get access to these technologies very quickly and also at a very low-cost investment as you are going through your journey around a private cloud. So next, Mike, I wanted to turn it over to you, and if you can kind of tell us what you're seeing in the marketplace with your customers and why are they pursuing private cloud options?
Absolutely. Thanks, John. So I think the first thing to realize is, when I go out and I travel all over the world, I did 180,000 miles last year, so I have these conversations all the time. The first thing that sort of resonates when I talk to clients, whether they be someone in the business or in IT, is the notion of cloud equals speed. Now, you have to dig into that a little bit, and speed is obviously, as anybody in IT knows, is sort of a relative term. But realizing that the business sees it as speed, I help IT sort of transition that, and it's really time to value. Right? That's really what the business is saying when they're saying the word speed. It's, hey, I can swipe my green credit card, I can make, so-and-so request, and it's there in minutes, hours, or days, where historically working through, the internal IT challenges, it would be weeks or months. So when I talk to clients who are, again, business or technology, or I'm on a panel at a conference, we really have to realize that speed equals time to value. The other thing that's very common in cloud today is flexibility. And now nobody really calls it flexibility, and I'll have to define what I mean by that. But it really means the ability to use capacity on an as-needed, as-requested basis. You could think of this as, historically, I don't know if you go back 5, maybe 10 years, there were some organizations that had such large peak periods, think Christmas time, think tax season, think, quarter end, those kind of things, that they had to buy capacity for those peak periods, and then they just literally set idle, consuming power, and thus was an expense. Now, with the ability to understand and burst and reuse and maybe shut down, dev test, and move capacity over to those servers for those peak windows, people are getting the flexibility. And that's really the power that cloud is bringing in what we're going to be talking about today. The other thing that's very clear about cloud is, a lot of the historical technology trends, going all the way back, to the client server, to web, to all of that, were really driven out of IT. I really see cloud and the solutions or service that cloud provide, they're being driven for the first time predominantly by the business. The business is asking for it. They're reading the articles in Fortune or the Wall Street Journal. They're out there, talking to their peers and understanding that, hey, I have this, software as a service or, cloud-based application or private cloud, whatever, and it's better, faster, and cheaper. So that's put some of my contacts back on their heels, right? And IT realizes that the environment's changing, where they used to bring offerings to market. Now they're almost being pushed. And let's be frank, some of them are afraid because now they're having to compete with an external, nimble technology provider that doesn't have their legacy environments, right? IT has been built up over decades. And with decades of development, you have legacy systems that hamstring you somewhat. The business in general doesn't appreciate that or realize what's going on there. So, the cloud and anything as a service is something that IT really has to understand is coming. And then lastly, when you really get down to it and you really sort of just do blocking and tackling, cloud is whether it be private, public, hybrid, is better, faster, cheaper. So that's really what I'm seeing out there and what
muted,
whether they be technology or many times I speak with folks in the business are talking about. So from that sort of what it is, and we'll talk about hybrid cloud because hybrid cloud is really the combination of private cloud, which for today's conversation is just on-premise, and public being sort of external, whether that be HP or other. So we're going to talk about hybrid. It's the ability to use the right thing for the right need. Right, you can think on the left-hand side of the screen there. That could be we'll just say it's a CFO because he looks like he's in a tie. And think about having the intellectual capital to understand, based on the request or service, whether you're gonna source that internal, you're gonna go out to workspace, something of that nature for an as a service product, or you're going to be spinning up dev test environments in a fast and a trusted manner. So those are the things that a hybrid environment brings. So you need to have a window, you need to have a catalog or service catalog that has that request, but also has the underlying technology that's open and flexible to use and do the work. And that's what John will show later. We have the piece parts, and he has the intellectual capital to make that happen for you. And again, HP's been the leader in this space, and again helped build the software portfolio that brought all this together. Just a couple of statements. I mean, there's a lot out there. We've been in the automation business for well over 10 years. We've been in the, HP's been around since the Depression. So lots of stories we could have said, but I'll, talk about a few here. We'll start in the upper left. These are all obvious statements, right? 83% of IT leaders say that 25 to 100% of the apps will be composed of hybrid by 2020.
Unmuted.
Saying is that, like I said earlier, the market's changing, right? There's going to be this notion of on-prem and off-prem. We're hoping, right, that there's intellectual capital or reasons that you go that way, right? Whether that be the old notion of what's core versus what's context, as opposed to, hey, something went down and we're making a knee-jerk reaction, which, we've all seen happen. So we're hoping that there's going to be some choices and some intelligence built into that to make that happen. The other thing is, you need to be able to manage both physical and virtual, right? There's lots of hypervisors out there. Most people I talk to in their data centers, they have multiple hypervisors. So the ability to manage the physical environment, regardless of whether it be HP or other, or all of the various hypervisor flavors via a single console is extremely powerful. A lot of the vendors out there today are getting more and more siloed, right? They're doing more deeper stuff with theirs and forgetting that clients need to be, clients often pick more than one, so there's no vendor lock-in. So that's something that HP's really focused on, is being open since we were founded. A key to that is, we spend a lot of time creating intellectual capital, and here it says well over 5,000 operations out of the box. The orchestration platform that we have is second to none, and happily to say was a significant crown jewel of an acquisition we made many years ago. But why do people buy us? Why do people even look at us? It's because we save them hard dollars. I have a saying when I'm out in the field speaking with sales reps or partners or distributors, in that, you're either talking about vitamins or you're talking about aspirins. Vitamins are the idea if you take this once a day for the rest of your life, you'll live a year longer. Where aspirin is, you have a headache today, you take this, the headache goes away. We offer you automation. We're going to be taking, for every dollar you spend with us, you're going to get $5 back in value. And in some of our closing slides, we'll talk about understanding what that is. But again, it's hard dollar savings. The ability to do it first time right? The ability to understand that it happens the same way every time is critically important, especially when you're taking service levels from weeks and months down to hours and minutes. You got to know it's going to happen the same way. And then finally, it's going to be, better utilization. I talked earlier about the poor clients who had to buy hardware for peak periods. Now what they can do is stop development or repurpose development and test environments and integration and test, training environments if they have to for those peak periods, and then go back to using those when the peak period's over. And finally, you're going to get stuff done a lot faster. Right? Again, we're talking going from weeks and months to days and hours, and in some cases minutes. So again, it's about providing the clients hard dollar savings in a world of cloud, which means you have to be open to all technologies, to all integrations. So we'll talk about that today. This is a slide we'll transition back to John, but the idea here is that HP plays in all these markets, and I'll let Mr. Ferner take it from here.
Thanks so much, Mike. Thanks so much for providing a brief overview there. I really liked a couple of your points there on why customers are looking at cloud and looking at the various options. I concur with you that the business is becoming a lot smarter, because now they're actually becoming the end user, the end buyer for some of these public cloud offerings. And so now they understand the SLAs, they understand kind of what they're purchasing. And so it creates an opportunity internally for IT to provide the same type of offering. And so now that black box that was there in the olden days for IT, now it's kind of open. And so now they have an opportunity to really provide the same type of on-demand function. As a part of that, I know that we've seen a lot of growth recently with HP, specifically around their software solutions and supporting private cloud.
Yep.
So can you let us know what's driving that rapid growth that you're seeing, and why the cloud automation software suite is kind of leading in terms of growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things I'm particularly proud of, running the go-to-market strategy for cloud the last couple of years is both years we not only had record growth, but we outgrew the market. Simplistically saying, if the market is growing 5% and we grew 10%, that not only says we're outgrowing the market, but we're taking share. And we did both of those things the last couple of years. And when I sort of sit back, and you gave me a day to think about this, I sort of sat back and thought about, well, why have we had that success? And I'd love to say it was just because of, Mike Zuber's a great guy. But it's really three things that I came up with. The first one is vision. Right? When I thought about the vision we had when I started this journey roughly 2.5 years ago, we always knew that it should have been about platform as a service, because that's what companies run on, right? They run on the platform, and I'll define that in a minute. But the reason that vision was important was because everybody else in the market was talking about infrastructure, right? Let me worry about server, network, storage. Let me go out, provision that in a virtual way, and I'm helping you. That wasn't okay, right? 2.5 years ago, when we sat in a room and we drew that on the board, and frankly, we could have gone that way. We're HP, right? We have the largest number of servers out there, but we realized that our customers buy the infrastructure for some reason. So we took the vision and said, you know what, we want to make it about what runs on the infrastructure. So we obviously wrapped our arms right around infrastructure. We have an offering there. We integrate with all the technology providers there, but we talk about the applications and databases that run on there. And that's what we call platform as a service, and that's really what's seen our growth. We run uphill sometimes because there's so many competitors out there talking about infrastructure that sometimes clients don't realize that they should be looking up and not get lost in the forest by staring at a single tree. But many times when we get a shot to talk about platform, they realize that if they're just going to worry about infrastructure, they're creating a problem somewhere else in the application development team or database team. So that was pretty important. The other one more recently, again, when we sat down 6 months ago or so, and we started to notice that a lot of the hypervisor vendors were getting even more siloed and more sort of, this is my world and where I want to live, is that we're staying open. One of the things that we did is we're developing something that we've now termed Cloud OS. It's out in the market. We announced it in Barcelona at Discover, which I was lucky enough to attend. And Cloud OS is an OpenStack-based solution which really serves as a service delivery platform regardless of hypervisors. So some of the conversations I'm having now are with clients who have data centers where they're spending X amount of money on maintenance streams for perpetual licenses, where I say, why don't you go ahead and use OpenStack-based solutions or open hypervisors. We're going to plug into the same platform that we offer, and we're going to be able to save you a lot of money. So you can take those dev test licenses, repurpose for production, and you've already pre-bought a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years worth of supply. The second one is flexible options, right? So vision was one, flexible options is two. The ability to have many different on-ramps, right? All of our competitors are sort of one-trick ponies. It's, let us virtualize and go. With what you'll see what John goes through later is there's many on-ramps to cloud, right? Sometimes, we go into a cloud meeting and it becomes very clear that, you don't have a cloud problem, you have an automation problem. And we have the number one solution on the market just for automation, right? We're going to do automation as step one. We'll do cloud next. For some folks, it's orchestration, right? They have best-of-breed solutions of technology providers out there, but they need to orchestrate them, right? They have one help desk, one monitoring, one catalog, one version control. They're not talking to each other. So some folks try to implement cloud, right, self-service in that environment. It's only destined to fail, right? Maybe the first step for us there is orchestration. And then the final reason is invested partners, right? I took the time to get on a plane, for example, and fly down to have this conference in person with John because he's an invested partner. He's taken her hard-earned capital, his checkbook, written some sizable checks to invest in cloud, and it's partners like that make us successful because it extends our reach and allows us to go further. So I think that's really why you've seen us not only grow but outgrow the market and take share, John.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate your insights there. Another thing I'd like to point out from my perspective on what's driving some of that growth is the breadth of the overall solutions. So typically, everyone knows that HP provides all the hardware. You need to have hardware to do cloud. If you want to try bursting, you're going to need to burst your hardware per se. But also you'll see here across traditional, private, managed, and public, HP has their own proprietary operating system on their servers called the Matrix. And that actually includes some of the cloud automation software to assist in managing those servers. In addition to that, you see here at the lower levels of Cloud OS, that OpenStack that Mike was referring to. So this starts to provide that heterogeneous type of capability that HP is able to provide for customers so they don't have to rip and replace. They can orchestrate, automate what they have in their environment for their overall private cloud. The next thing to highlight here is the cloud automation software can assist you in a lot of your data center automation for traditional IT. And you start moving that into a private cloud perspective, then you can get that self-service portal. I can then kind of give customers and the business units the same type of experience that they would have if they wanted to go to a public cloud and selecting what they want to purchase and what type of platform, as Mike mentioned, or application or service that they need to have access to. And at the same time, you can kind of let them know what that's going to cost. Because typically what happens without having that self-service, and by the way, Mike, that was one of the key things that Forrester brought up in their report in selecting HP was that the simple ease of use of the self-service is one of the key drivers in selecting HP as a leader. But by having that self-service portal and having that kind of information to the customer to let them know, here's what the service is, here's what it costs, here's what you get you, it prevents that kind of server sprawl that's happening out there when people are just applying automation tools and the organization just all of a sudden now has more cost, more expense because they just keep getting more and more requests to spin things up. And so what we're kind of highlighting here is that you can take those cloud automation software across a heterogeneous environment, and it also can support, say, HP's cloud. So HP has its own public cloud service, and so you can tap into that service, and they will be leveraging some of HP's hardware, some of HP's software products, just like what you can do for private cloud. So it's a great story here to highlight how HP is using their solutions to provide to their customers, both from a public cloud as well as a private cloud perspective. Next, I wanted to kind of jump in and just highlight a little bit about HP's cloud automation solutions. these solutions actually originally were helping organizations when they were trying to do a lot of data center automation. And so now they've added in here the cloud service automation capability, which gives you that self-service portal. As I mentioned, that was a key differentiator in terms of ease of use, ease of customers to get in and actually configure and set up and integrate that solution so that you can set up that private cloud function. And so that's that good front-end interface. And then based upon the service that you're looking for, cloud service automation can coordinate that with the different functions that need to be set up. But also at the hub of that can be operations orchestration. One thing that was also mentioned in the Forrester report was the need for orchestration and automation across the platform, as Mike mentioned. So it's not just servers, it's also the databases, the middleware, and the applications. And you need a way to be able to orchestrate that and automate that. And so having that tied into your self-service portal, but then also being tied into your various server automation solutions, such as HP Server Automation, your database. So this is a key differentiator with HP and having the ability to have out-of-the-box, predefined all the policies and procedures to actually provision and set up your databases and your middleware on those servers which you've recently provisioned. And then being able to deploy that information and those solutions so now you have a full, complete application service. You'll notice over here we're highlighting that besides just doing it on on-premise solutions, it can also be done here using HP's Matrix operating system, which is based upon HP's hardware, as well as it supports the OS OpenStack. So it really gives you that really true end-to-end heterogeneous type of solution, which customers are really looking for from a private cloud perspective. And I think that's a key driver too, Mike, of what's driving your guys' growth today.
No question. Absolutely right.
So I just wanted to provide a brief summary. You can all go look at the summary of the Forrester report, and I know others can go purchase that report as well. But they do have, it's like a 20-page summary that you can go find and look at online. But as you'll see here in their overall analysis, HP was identified as the leader here for private cloud solutions. And as I kind of mentioned before, their quote here is, HP stands out by providing a clean and navigatable interface that wraps the substantial breadth and depth of capabilities in the fewest number of interfaces. So, Mike, I know you kind of went through this process with Forrester.
Yep.
Any other insights you can provide?
Yeah, let's steal the thunder from the report because it's actually pretty exhaustive. I would actually ask, both partners, clients, and prospective clients to take a look at the report because not only highlights sort of what they saw at HP and how we scored. I think we were number 1 in 13 of the 25 categories or something like that. But it really talks about some of the competitors out there getting more siloed and more myopic, which if you read into that is going to be bad longer term, where they're trying to wrap you in to their, sort of their technology and their technology alone. And that's just not how the technology world works. I think we've all lived that, felt that if you've been in this space for any kind of time. So I think the Forrester report is obviously, I'd like to say it's a good read just because what it says right at HP. I personally, right, Mike Zuber speaking here, got more value reading about what they thought about our competitors because, some of them obviously I had a pretty good understanding of, but some of them, I was really surprised by what Phil Forrester had to say. So I actually read it for both. So it was a fun process, and I look forward to doing it again.
Great. Thanks so much, Mike. Appreciate your insights. So it really kind of poses the question for us. Obviously, Forrester's mentioning that HP is the right solution for private cloud. But it kind of poses the question for you, Mike, and I'll kind of give you my perspective is why HP for private cloud? So from a cloud perspective, right, I need all layers to provide a private cloud. So I also need both the infrastructure and the hardware. So you got best of class technology coming from HP. From a hybrid delivery perspective, I want to have something that supports multiple different delivery options. HP clearly supports in that area. And then I want something that's really open and supports multiple architectures and really supports the largest number of point solutions in the marketplace so they don't have to throw away investments that I made previously. And then from the experience, and this was actually another key area, one of those areas that Mike mentioned where HP was leading in terms of number of customers and overall experience and overall kind of revenue, if you will, from a private cloud perspective. So this is kind of my view, Mike, on why HP is the right choice, but kind of curious, and I'm sure the audience is as well, why is HP the right choice for private cloud from your perspective?
Yeah, so when I got this question yesterday, John, I sort of took some time on the flight over to write down 5 reasons why. So a couple of them you've hit on. I'll try to give you a little different spin on. The first and foremost is we have multiple entry points to cloud. I have probably 8 conversations a week, right, for the last couple of years around cloud. And, there are certainly some similarities on how people start, but the ability in HP's product portfolio to have on-ramps and not try to force clients to start where we're only good at. We can go to where the customer's pain points are is a unique thing you'll see in HP solutions. So, again, the multiple entry points would be the first one. The second one really goes back to that hard decision we had 2.5 years ago around the platform for his infrastructure. We focused on the platform. It wasn't the easiest choice, frankly, but it was the right choice. And we've seen with consecutive years of growth outgrowing the market that was absolutely the right choice. Third was the orchestration and, frankly, integration with legacy technology. I can't tell you how many clients I go to, and we're talking about cloud, and they're talking about all the previous investments, and I can go, you know what? You don't have to throw that away. We will integrate with that technology. We can use that catalog. We'll use that hypervisor. We'll use that, whatever that happens to be. Clients like that, because the ability to use technology that they've already spent money on and make that more valuable is an extremely good thing. The fourth one you brought up here, you called it heterogeneous. I'll call it multiple hypervisors. I believe the world of a single hypervisor data center are over. I believe with the proliferation of open source that there will be more and more open source, at a minimum, used in dev test. So the ability to use open-based hypervisors in dev test and support, other technologies, from commercial vendors is key. HP is open, and HP does not have a hypervisor, so we don't have a dog in the fight. We are only interested in integrating with the technologies out there. And then the fifth one I wrote down was, again, strong, and I underlined invested partners. Partners that are willing to put their own dollars, spend their own time, have the CEO of the company do presentations together. That's why HP is outgrowing the market, and that's why I think we've been successful. So those are the 5 reasons.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. I think what this then highlights then is the challenge, what I actually like to call from an entrepreneurial perspective, the opportunity.
Yeah.
It's the opportunity for IT to become the preferred cloud provider for the business, right? We all know in today's environment that business is probably buying cloud solutions outside of IT.
Sure.
But it's an opportunity for IT to be that value-added provider, and that means how do we give quick time to value, and how do we provide the services that they're looking for very quickly, while at the same time leveraging the investment across this heterogeneous set of multiple hypervisors, et cetera, that Mike's been referring to. So that's kind of the reason why we wanted to provide a brief overview of HP's cloud automation solutions, so you can understand how you can take advantage of your current investments, but you can help yourself actually become that trusted source and become the business unit's first source for private cloud solutions. I showed this slide previously, which gives us a high-level overview of the various components of the overall solution suite. And so I'm going to jump in and provide a little bit more information about each one of these. So this first area here is HP's Cloud Service Automation solution. So this is really that ability for the business unit to say, you know what, I need to get that test environment up and running. I need to get that development environment up and running for a specific application. So they're not just looking at, I need a server, I need that whole kind of platform up and running because I want to do testing tomorrow, right? Typically today, people are building new mobile apps or doing more web development, and so they need that stuff done on demand. And so this gives them that place where they can go and say, you know what, I need to request that. Here's the various environments that I want to select. So what's really nice with the portal, not only am I selecting, I want to have this application, but I can define what type of operating system, or I can define what type of database I want to have on that particular service, and I can have that then provisioned for me, and it'll come back and give me the status on that, and within minutes or hours, I can have that new service, that new test or development environment available, that new platform. So it really gives the end user, the business, a place similar to what they're experiencing today in the public cloud arena. So that's a real key differentiator. And as I mentioned before, the whole simplicity around this is one of the things that Forrester was mentioning. So, to kind of give you an objective third party's view, that's one of the key reasons that they were selecting it. And we all know in today's environment when it comes to technology, it's all about keeping things simple. So I thought that's a huge statement there coming from Forrester. I also kind of alluded to this as well. Besides just having that portal, you want to have some form of control over that service. The public cloud providers, they need to have control as well, right? They're running a business. They've got costs that are coming in. They've got revenue coming in. They need to control those costs, and they need to and provide that service at an appropriate price point to compete. And so the same thing has to occur here in terms of IT. That they need to be able to manage those requests. They need to be able to understand the associated costs, and they need to be able to let the business unit know, here's their service level, here's your overall cost associated with that, and here's how you're utilizing the assets that we have in the overall organization. So some of that capability comes in the ability to show chargeback and show back, be able to really kind of track the overall asset management and the overall reporting of those particular services. So that's actually an opportunity for IT organizations to have a different value-added solution by having that executive reporting. You typically don't get that with the public cloud. You'll get that here at the private cloud so that the executives can see overall how much are we using our private cloud investments and what's the overall cost and benefit of that. And that's something you're not going to get when you go off and buy multiple different solutions, hodgepodge here and there from a public cloud perspective. Mike, anything you'd like to highlight here from a client service automation perspective, cloud service automation perspective?
I think you've hit them very well. Our practice run helped.
All right. Next, I just wanted to highlight that, and I mentioned this previously, some of you actually might have some cloud solutions within your environment today. HP has on their servers, and they're selling some of those with the Matrix operating system. That operating system includes some of this software to assist you in the automation of the various components and layers of cloud. So you might want to check with procurement. You might want to check with IT. They might have actually purchased some of the Matrix operating system, which then can be used by the cloud service automation, which you just mentioned, as well as can be used by the orchestration solution.
Yeah, John, this is one of the things that when we really talk about what makes HP different, and frankly what Forrester saw was that we have something called Cloud System Enterprise. So, we abbreviate that obviously as CSE, right? Cloud System Enterprise. Really, what is Cloud System Enterprise? It's the marriage of HP software with HP hardware, but still offering everything we've talked about, being open, integrations, all of that. We're taking all the software assets, embedding those with our hardware, in this case, the Matrix operating environment, and that's what CSE is. It's the fastest way to market. It allows us to integrate with past investments and forward. So, again, the ability to have a single vendor with the size and strength of HP, providing all of the private cloud offerings for you is a pretty powerful statement. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but just wanted to put that out there.
Great, thank you. The next area and part of the and this is actually part of the CSE suite as well. Mike mentioned to the starter suite. So you get that cloud service automation function. Obviously, you tie it into the hardware. And then you can use the orchestration function here, which has really kind of been the leader when it comes to data center automation, IT process automation. In this case, right, we want to automate the process of fill and provision and the setup of that particular service that's being requested from that service portal. So in that sense, we are able to completely automate that process. You're able to kind of track that and see within minutes when that now new service is available to be used in the organization. Also, just to kind of highlight here too, because the legacy here was around automating data centers and automating runbooks, you can also use this to actually automate and a closed loop process for any events that might pop up into the IT operations area. So if you have server outages, or heaven forbid you have an outage on your cloud service, how do I actually make sure that I remedy that? Well, I can actually tie that event right here into orchestration, and it can then re-provision, refresh, reboot, and bring that service back online, all automated with no human intervention. So that's another key focus here from an operations orchestration perspective. I mentioned before there are some very tangible spots here in the HP solution that really drive directly to the bottom line. So this is one of those key areas. By automating these various processes, I can reduce the amount of resources it takes to manage and support all my different environments in my data center. Whether it be my servers and my databases and things of that nature, I can reduce that time and effort. Doesn't necessarily mean I need to get rid of resources for that. I can actually reallocate those resources to focus on analyzing and kind of do operational analytics and really making better decisions, as well as I can use those resources to help define what are those cloud services that our organization and business units are purchasing externally today, and we can provide them with a different and better solution internally. So this is really a key area to drive a lot of tangible business benefits. And kind of a lead into that, here we're highlighting some of those customer successes and benefits from an orchestration automation perspective. So you're seeing here significant reduction in terms of the staff to handle incidents that are popping up. I mentioned those events. I can actually automate that, so I can actually save resources. Wouldn't it be great? Save resources on my help desk, and I can go build more mobile apps. I can go build more cloud services for our customer. And it's more rewarding for the resources, too. From a change management perspective, we've talked about saving the time and effort when it takes to provisioning. You can do that in minutes. You can do that in hours and days versus it taking quite some time. Disaster recovery. Actually, we work together and being able to kind of put a process in place. I kind of mentioned that earlier. If that particular service goes down, i.e. your server, right, you can use automation now to bring that back up and not have that impact. So that's one example from a disaster recovery perspective. Next, I want to kind of move on and talk a little about server automation. So this, what's really unique about this particular solution is it really is not, as Mike mentioned, hypervisor dependent. So it can be across any hypervisor. And what's also good is it's across physical, not just virtual. So basically, I can use this to manage any type of server automation functions, all the way from bare metal build up on those particular servers, like we talked about before, patches, and all those type of releases that I need on my server. And also a hidden piece, Mike, here is the whole compliance area. I know that in some of our previous conversations that from your perspective, it sounds like customers aren't really taking advantage of what's going on in the compliance area and what server automation can provide. Is there any insights you can provide on that?
Yeah, I guess I'd say a couple of things there. Compliance is something that hasn't gone away, right? I think there was a time when Enron and SOX and all of that were going around where compliance was at the forefront. Today, again, just based on Mike Zuber's calendar, automation in cloud has certainly taken over sort of the lion's share. What I would tell you is that when you look at HP, you work with ResultsPositive, when you make an investment in Cloud System Enterprise, you look at the starter suite, you look at buying server automation, you're going to get compliance with it. It's not extra. It's part of the base product. So please realize while you may be taking on a cloud project, you're going to have in your hip pocket a compliance platform as well. So that's something I think that's been missing in some of the stories. But the good news is when the clients work with you, John, they're going to be able to do both automation and compliance with a single solution.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, I think that's a hidden benefit here, by giving additional tangible benefits by having some of that compliance automated so that you don't have to spend that manual labor to do that. Some of the successes we've seen here from a server automation perspective, if we talk about healthcare here from compliance, how would you like to turn it into 2 days for compliance audit versus 32 weeks?
I would like that.
So that's probably a very good benefit. I think anyone in IT doesn't like to deal with compliance. It's perceived as busy work, as administrative work, and I think it's just something that if you can automate that, we can all focus on providing more value back to the business. From a financial perspective, we talked about before, really can drive and reduce a lot of the time needed to provision, patch, and update overall servers. So from that perspective, you're driving a lot of tangible benefits. Like I mentioned, you can reallocate those funds to really focus on what the business needs today. They need that new mobile application to compete with the competitor, right? They need that new innovation, a new way of accepting deposits for their banking customers. And so they need to spend some of those resources focused on that versus on things that can be automated. So here's some other examples here you can see of success by using server automation. Next here is the database. And Mike mentioned it before, and I think this is the reason why we're a big champion of the HP suite, is the ability to not only just provision servers, but actually provision the whole platform as well as the application, i.e. the software as a service. And so there's more than just the hardware and the server. I've got to put the operating system, I've got to put the database, and I even need to put on the application as well. And so by combining server automation with database and middleware automation, I can do that. That can be a closed loop, single process by going to that service catalog and selecting what type of an application I need to have access to, and it can go through and provision that whole platform for me. And so that's a key differentiator. As you can see here, there's multiple different platforms that are supported out of the box to get you up and running very quickly. I noticed, and here again it depends upon how big your organization might be in terms of data. We all know big data is a current big issue today. It's also an opportunity for everyone. But we all know that in some organizations they've got, they might even have 20, 30, 40 different DBAs based on the size of their organization. And we've seen that before. By now using this database automation, it can reduce the number of DBAs as a specific example. And that's creating then more value for the organization to redeploy those assets and those dollars. So in terms of the overall successes here from automating the database automation, you can see here from 12 days to 4 hours. You can see here from 5 to 7 days to configure down to 2 hours. So basically you can almost take that whole entire database, deploy it, have it automatically configured, and almost 100% of that, probably about 90% of that, fully complete by using automation tools. Where in the past you've always been, quote-unquote, been held hostage by your DBAs, feeling like they need to be involved in that process. And so now you can set up those overall templates that you would use as part of the overall automation solution. So as Mike mentioned before, the question is, how do we get there, right? It might look like it's really a scary option. How do we get there? How do we really get on this journey to providing a private cloud for our business? Because we all know they're needing it today. And so as Mike mentioned earlier, there's a lot of different paths that you can start down this private cloud automation journey. It might be simply that I want to define what our services are, and we need to put together that overall cloud service automation portal as a starting point. Or it might be, today we've got a lot of process automation issues. We need to have a good foundation first and get our shop in order so that we can then focus on providing a private cloud solution later. So we're highlighting here that there's many different places where I can start. So I can start here with traditional. I can start applying it here in the private cloud space. And I can also then tie it into a hybrid solution by, say, tapping into a managed or a public cloud. So there are multiple different paths by which you can decide are right for you and your organization based on where you are today. So it really brings up the question, where do I start and what does the journey look like? So what we've typically seen with our customers, and it's been very effective for them, is to come on site and schedule with them an on-site private cloud workshop. So based upon the scope of that workshop can be a half-day workshop, a couple hours, or it could be a full day, depending upon what's the scope of that particular workshop. And that's really critical because it helps the organization understand and define what is private cloud for their organization and what particular components do they already have internally, what components are they relying on publicly, and what's the hybrid solution that's needed. So that's a key starting point because then we can clearly define together what's the goal and objective, what's the strategy, as well as then we can define what's the current opportunity. Our recommended approach here is the crawl, walk, run approach when it comes to private cloud. Yes, we'd all love to go in and do the big bang, and definitely can go after that. But from an overall adoption and usage, we think it's always best to let's focus on various chunks based on where you are today. And so what we can do as a result of those workshops, that can help us assist in putting together a roadmap. And one of the first things along that journey then is to do a technical evaluation. So typically organizations want to understand and say, okay, great, it all looks good that you can integrate with all these different open stack, open source solutions. You can do physical, you can do virtual. Let's test it out on a couple of different use cases here in our environment. And the good news is we can actually do that. We can do that within a matter of 2 or 4 days. Here again, we can have more elaborate evaluations for both of us from a time and expense perspective. I think it's best to have those in a shorter time frame, and we can definitely support you on that. And then HP's actually bundled some of their products in a quick, easy to use and to consume model, such as the Cloud System Enterprise Starter Pack that Mike was mentioning previously. And then it goes into the whole implementation, followed by incremental deployments based upon that roadmap that we do up front. So this is kind of at a high level how that journey would look. In terms of the opportunity to work with ResultsPositive and be able to achieve these business benefits and outcomes, as we mentioned before here, we can schedule the cloud workshop. That could be a specific overall, what is cloud, how can it best help you, what's going on in the industry, or we could do a specific discovery workshop for your organization, and that's where we can kind of hone in on your use cases as well as your specific roadmap. And the next is kind of more technical validations. That would be kind of the second step to come in and validate that so that you can move on to a procurement process. You can actually get access to a free 30-day trial of the server automation virtual appliance. So you can actually access that here on the ResultsPositive store and be able to get access to that particular solution.
That 30-day trial is no joke. Server automation virtual appliance, or what I call SAVA, is something we've been working on for well over a year. It's really the backbone of the automation product. What makes it interesting and why everybody else should look at it is you can go download that 30-day trial and be using server automation inside of 4 hours. Go download the product, installs and configures in under an hour, go back to the HP Live Network, download the content for Windows and Linux, and you're off and running in under 4 hours. So it's truly a 30-day trial. A lot of the sort of heartburn folks have had around the automation platforms in the past is that it takes, weeks and months to configure it to my shop, my problems. We've taken a lot of time removing those configuration options and variables in SAVA and making it so our goal was under a day when we first put it on the board, and we actually got it down to under 4 hours.
So that's kind of a high-level overview of what we wanted to highlight today. Wanted to let you know what's going on in the industry. Wanted to let you know what industry analysts are saying about HP and why HP Private Cloud is so important. We also wanted to invite Mike and really appreciate Mike spending his time and investment here with us today to highlight from his perspective why HP has the right cloud solution for our customers.